Problem 2. We have 4 states, Q0, Q3, Q1, and Q2. Q0, Q3 are non-final state. Q1 and Q2 are final state. So let's proceed with step 1. Do we have trap state? None. How about inaccessible state? Yes, Q3. As you can see here, there is no path from our initial state going to Q3. So therefore, this is inaccessible state. So we could remove it, okay? Since there's no effect with our automaton if we have Q3 or if it's included or not, there's no effect with the automaton. So let's just remove it. So the new automaton without Q3 will be this. This will be used for our step 2, wherein we're going to create the transitional function. So now we only have 3 states, Q0, Q1, Q2, and the alphabets are A and B. Okay, so for Q0, if it encounters B, it will just loop within itself. If it's A, it will go to Q1. And for Q1 state, if it's A, it will go to Q2. If it's B, it will just loop within itself. In Q2, if it's A, it will go to Q1. And if it's B, it will just loop within itself. Okay. Then after creating this transition function or the delta function, let's proceed with step 3. Step 3, we're going to determine the grouping in equivalence 0. Which among them are final, and we're going to separate the final state with non-final state. So we have 2 groups, Q0, 1 group, Q1, Q2, another group. Okay, now, so step 4, we're going to check if Q1, Q2 have the same path. Okay, so Q1, if it's A, it will go to Q2. So it will fall at on the same group. If it's B, it will go to Q1, which is it will go to this group. And for Q2, if it's A, it will go to Q1, same group. Q2, if it's B, same group. So therefore, Q1, Q2, either value AB or both value AB will fall to the same group. Okay, so therefore, the behavior is the same. Okay, so therefore we're not going to separate Q1, Q2. So P1 is basically the same as P0. So we stop in analyzing the path since we already have the same path or same group as the previous equivalence. So now let's proceed with step 5. So we're going to create the table for step 5. Okay, for the minimized DFA. So Q0 is the initial state. Q1, Q2 will be one group. Okay. And then AB, if Q0 encounters A, so it should go to Q1 and Q2, not Q1, since Q1 is not available anymore. It's included. Q1 is already included, it's already combined with Q2. Okay. And if it's B, it will go to Q0. While in Q1, Q2, either value AB, both A and B, will just loop within itself. Okay, so that's why this will be our minimum DFA. Okay. So B will just loop in Q0. If it's A, it will go to Q1, Q2. Anything in Q1, Q2 will just loop within itself. So that's problem 2. Now let's proceed with problem 3. So now we have 6. Okay, 6 states. We have 2 final states and 4 non-final states. So let's start with step 1. Okay. Do we have a trap state? None. Unreachable state? Yes, Q5, wherein Q0 is not cannot reach Q5 because there's no path. So therefore, Q5 should be removed. Okay. So in step 2, this is the new automaton that we're going, or updated automaton that we're going to simplify. Okay. And then in step 2, we're going to, again, to create the transition function. So this is the table of the transition of this automaton. If Q0 encounters 0, it will go to Q1. If Q0 encounters 1, it will go to Q2. While in Q1, if it encounters 1, it will go to Q3. And if Q1 encounters 0, it will go to Q2. So while in Q2, if it encounters 0, it will just loop within itself. And if it's 1, it will go to Q4. But in Q3 and Q4, so either value will just loop within itself. Okay, so that will be our transition function. Now let's proceed with step 3 to get equivalent 0. Again, to separate the non-final state with the final state. So the first group contains the states Q0, Q1, Q2, while the other group contains Q3 and Q4. So let's proceed with step 4 to get the equivalence 1. So which among these Q0, Q1, 2 will be grouped to form a new state based on the path behavior? Okay, so let's start with Q0. So Q0, Q1, Q2 for 0 and 1. So it will fall at on the same group. While for Q1, 0 will fall or will go to the same group, but for 1, it will go to the second group. So therefore, Q0 and Q1 are not the same since they have a different path for 1. Same group for Q0, Q1, different group. So we're going to separate Q0, Q1. Now, let's proceed with Q2. For Q2, if it's 0, it will go to the same group. But for 1, it will go to the second group, which is the same as Q1. Okay, so therefore Q1 and Q2 should be grouped. Okay, and Q3, Q4. So Q3, either value will go to the same group. Q4 will fall on the same group. So Q3, Q4 have the same path. So we're not going to separate it. Now, since we separated Q0 with Q1, Q2, there's a probability that Q1, Q2 is not equal anymore. So let's check to get P2. Okay, so I'm just going to copy Q0 later. Okay, so Q1, Q2, Q3, second group, third group. Q2, second group, third group. Therefore, Q1, Q2 have the same path. So it means we're going to combine it into one state. So in P2, there's no change. So since P1 and P2 are the same, so it means P2 is already the minimized states. Okay, minimized state rather contains the minimum state. So we have 3 states: Q0, Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. So in step 6, we're going to draw the transition function. Okay, so this is the transition function now. Q0 is still the initial state, while Q3, Q4 is now the new final state. Okay, so if it's 0, it will go to, originally it will go to Q1, which is part of the second group. So that's why we're going to write here Q1, Q2. And if it's 1, it will go to Q2, which is part of the second group. Now, the new state to be written here should be Q1, Q2. So this is correct. And then in Q1, Q2, if it's 0, then it will just go to Q2, which is part of second group, so it will just loop within itself. And if it's 1, it will go to Q3 or Q4, which is part of the third group. So just copy the third group. Okay, and then in third group, Q3, Q4, any value will just loop within itself. So therefore, the path will be going to Q3, Q4. Okay, and the minimum automaton drawing would be, yes. Okay, so Q0 accepts the input. If it's 0 or 1, both 0 and 1 will go to Q1, Q2. If it's 0, it will just loop within itself. If it's 1, it will go to the final state, which is Q3, Q4. And any values in Q3, Q4 will just loop within itself. Okay? So that's problem number 3. So if you don't have any questions, okay? If you have some questions rather, just send me a message, okay? Through MS Teams. So thank you for listening. See you on the next video lecture. Thank you.